think about the generations and to say we want to make it a better place for our children and our children's children so that they, they, they know it's a better world for them and think if they can make it a better place.
From Palestine, Congo, Sudan, Ukraine, and all other countries that are going through genocide every day, there are millions of families and children die from slavery labor, exploitation, starvation, and cruelty. Every day is always war for these children and families, and hardly any peace for them where there aren't allowed to be children. For a couple of minutes, we advise you to take this opportunity to listen and to hear the stories of examples of families and children from around the world who have reasons to share their stories of survival and loss of innocence. These are their stories. My name is Raja Abu Taima. I am 25 years old. My family consists of 7 members. We had a house that sheltered my family, but it was bombed and is now uninhabitable. We have displaced several times during the war and are still displaced. We are currently in Mawasi, Khan Yunis, near the beach. My father lost his job in agriculture, and the war has depleted all our resources. We lost everything we owned. Prices were high, and life became a difficult struggle without food, water, shelter, or work. We lost everything, both past and present. Despite all this, my family remains my refuge, and I am determined to protect them from any harm and ensure they receive the dignity they deserve. I wish my family a safe life. We must not let the war separate us. Instead, let us talk peacefully and protect our loved ones. Please don't leave us alone to face genocide, famine, and destruction. We desperately need your help. No matter how small your donation, it eases our suffering. Don't forget us. Don't forget Gaza. Stand with us, and thank you very much. Hello, my name is Hadi. I am 20 years old from Gaza. We are in need of your help. We have nothing. For the past 3 years, we have been suffering because of the war. We lost relatives and friends. We lost our home, and our lives have been destroyed. I ask kind hearted people to help us so that we can simply live. Before the war, I had big dreams, but the war left nothing as it was and destroyed our lives. When I walk in the streets and see the destruction every day, I wish for death. Now we need help to stay alive, to be able to buy clothes and food. I hope you will stand with us. You may not know our lives well, but we are suffering greatly. I am not asking for pity. I am asking for mercy for those on this earth. We deserve life. We were not born to die. We have suffered a lot in this war. We were displaced more than 20 times from one place to another and lived in tents, enduring fear, hunger, and cold. I hope you understand the situation we are living in. Thank you. I am reaching out to the autism community and parents of autistic children on this platform to help spread awareness on the story of Emmanuel, the young autistic adult with intellectual disability locked up in an institution indefinitely for having a meltdown at a mall when asked to leave during closing hours. Since he's been institutionalized, he's being experimented on, abused, and heavily medicated in the name of curing his autism as if he is a guinea pig. His family has been banned from visiting him and they have taken all parental rights off them using the Swedish law just because they were documenting the abuse and humiliation he was facing. They were purposely drawing a clown face and shaving his head before visitations, and the guards would laugh, tormenting them when they visit him. For over 3 years, he has not seen any of his family members. The last time he saw his family was on the 25th of December 2020. He was only recently given access to call his family when he was moved into another institution called Psychiatric Hospital. They have said the only way out is if he can prove he has outgrown his autism. If you want to follow his story, my family have created on social media platforms under the handle at My Autism Journey Sweden, where my family has been documenting all what he is going through. From telling his story, a lot of autistic individuals and some parents have shared their stories with me from around the world, which breaks my heart. We have organized a peaceful protest on his behalf at the Swedish Embassy in London, time 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and other people in other countries have shown interest in doing the same at the Swedish Embassy in their country on the same day. We will be announcing in a few days' time which countries are participating when we know for certain. This isn't just about Emmanuel. He is only one in a million of the autistic individuals around the world this is happening to. People of color and black individuals are mostly targeted. Discrimination over disabilities has to stop. Any help, awareness, or commitment you can provide in terms of covering the story and upcoming peaceful protests on your platform will be highly appreciated. Thank you. From Becky and Jeanette, Emmanuel's family. I am Abraham Hamad, a member of a family consisting of 7 individuals. Where are you from? I am from the city of Al Zahara, south of Gaza City, and I am one of the displaced people who lost their homes due to the war in the Gaza Strip. The full names of the individuals or organizations you are seeking to support or aid, where they're located, and your relationship with them. I am seeking support specifically for myself to rebuild our destroyed home, and I have no affiliations with any organizations. How the funds will be spent and how you plan to get them to the beneficiary these funds will be allocated to rebuilding my home, which was destroyed during the war in the Gaza Strip. I will purchase construction materials and begin rebuilding the house once the necessary amount is secured. Our 3-story home in Al Zahara City, south of Gaza City, was completely destroyed by the intense Israeli bombardment of the Gaza Strip, leaving behind only ruins and scattered memories among the rubble. In just a few moments, we lost everything we had built over many years of hard work and effort. The place where we once felt safe and stable was reduced to debris. Our home was not just walls and a roof, it was filled with beautiful memories and dreams we had been striving to achieve. Now, we are left homeless, searching for shelter amid the devastation and suffering that has affected thousands of families like ours. Our family members, especially my son with special needs, are facing immense challenges in securing basic necessities such as food, water, and clothing, as well as finding temporary housing to protect us from the harsh conditions. Despite all the pain and loss, we try to hold on to hope that justice will one day prevail and that we will be able to rebuild our lives amidst this cruel destruction. We are determined to do everything in our power to rebuild our family's future after the war, to restore our home, and to move forward with the hope that our path will be made easier and that we regain even a small part of what we have lost our lives, our dreams, and our aspirations. You have always been and continue to be our source of strength. From the depths of my heart, I salute and thank you all the love and support you have given us. We love you all. My name is Ahmed Alashi, and I live with my mother in Gaza City. Our home was destroyed in an airstrike, and we have nothing left. The devastation is indescribable, and our lives have been turned upside down. During the attack, we lost my father, a pain that words cannot express. Before this catastrophe, I had a job, a happy life, and an apartment I was preparing for our future. Now, all of that is gone. My mother, who is 68 years old, is old and sick. She cannot move and needs constant assistance. The cost of life here is extremely high, and finding a job in these conditions is nearly impossible. We're reaching out for help to cover our basic needs: food, clean drinking water, housing, medicine, and clothing. Everything is incredibly expensive because aid isn't reaching us. Nowhere in Gaza is safe, and we're struggling every day to survive. We're trying to gather funds to help us get through this war and rebuild our lives. Any contribution, no matter how small, will make a significant difference in our lives. Your support will help us find some semblance of stability and hope amidst this chaos. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your kindness and generosity. Hello, my name is Wati Abu Hamad. I am 26 years old and I live in the Gaza Strip, which has been suffering under a devastating war for 2 years. 2 years of fear, loss, destruction, and endless heartbreak. 2 years that have changed our lives forever. I am responsible for my small family: myself, my wife, Shomoa, my baby girl, Lauren. We once dreamed of a simple, peaceful life. My life, my wife, was pregnant when the war began, and she was forced to give birth under bombing and unimaginable fear. I still cannot describe what it feels like to welcome your first child into a world collapsing around you to try to protect her in a place where nothing is safe anymore. Over these 2 years, we have lost everything: our home, our jobs, our memories, our sense of stability, our daily life, our dreams, even pieces of our hearts. One missile was enough to erase years of hard work and hope in a single moment. Today, we live in constant fear, never knowing if we will survive the next day. In Gaza, the question is no longer if something will happen, but when. After our home was destroyed, we moved into a rented house that now shelters 16 family members: my parents, my siblings, my sisters, their husbands, and their children. The rent alone is over $900 per month, and have had no resource of income since the war began. We struggle to provide food, clean water, warm clothes, and blankets, especially for our little ones. I am writing this with a heavy heart, from a crowded home filled with children trying to survive. We desperately need your help to stay alive, to get through this winter, and to endure this destruction. Any support, even the smallest amount, can save a life and give us hope in the middle of this darkness. Thank you for opening your hearts. Thank you for staying with a family shattered by war. Hello all, my name is Nene, and I was asked by Akram and his wife Rima to help run his campaign to raise donations to help him and raise his family survive this tragedy. I met him on Instagram. He was the first person I had ever spoken to from Gaza, and he enlightened me on the struggles through a chat and a number of video calls where I verified that he is indeed in Gaza and saw the tragic situation that they are currently living through. I have no background in human rights activism. I was just a human existing in the world that becomes very troubled by the displacement and destruction that I was witnessing, troubled by the devastation of lives and families trying to live on normality. I am taking over from someone else who was supporting from Holland, who shared that she had become overwhelmed emotionally by the amount of families she was supporting and could no longer support him as a result. If you ever want to reach out to Akram to verify that he's in Gaza, like I did, please send a message on Instagram at Akram underscore 56998 and ask him for a time that best suits him and you for a video call. Please support them. Any amount goes a long way and can make a huge difference in their life. Please donate and share this campaign. Thank you. At the start of November 2025, Doa's family returned to Jabalia al-Nazah in northern Gaza to live in a tent outside of the rubble of her house. They worked tirelessly each day trying to clear the rubble, hoping to urgently assemble some safe shelter which will offer them protection from the winter rainstorms flooding Gaza, their tent, clothes, and all their remaining possessions. Doa sends a message from her daughter Mona, who stands tall above the rubble and the floods. We love you, Palestine, and we will build our homes. Doa speaks so lightly of the children's resilience in the face of forced displacement, destruction, and the spread of disease. With consistent and urgent material support, Doa's home will join the streets of Gaza as they are rebuilt, growing tall, like Mona is doing. However, since the alleged ceasefire, donations have completely stagnated, through the occupation's brutality only accelerates. Over the past 2 years, Doa's family had been forcibly displaced over 14 times, facing countless physically, emotionally, and financially devastating journeys. On August 19, 2025, following the Zionist attempted ground invasion of northern Gaza, Doa's family survived the use of toxic gases, belts of missile strikes, and booby trap robots that destroyed their homes, and were displaced to Al Shati refugee camp, then Nuseirat camp. Doa works almost all her working hours raising funds through social media in order to continue insisting on light on her land and meet her family's most immediate survival needs. However, after returning back to northern Gaza this November, she found all the internet infrastructure in the northern Gaza Strip had been almost completely destroyed by the attempted Zionist ground invasion this summer. Therefore, Doa Zhao walks for hours on foot to get any internet access and to charge her phone. As phone charging in Gaza only works with solar power, this is weakened by the rain. The winter weather is making the cost of survival not only far larger, but far harder for Doa to raise to. In August, as Doa's baby Abdullah fought a life threatening infection and a 3-year-old Mohammed fought meningitis, when Doa needs funds most men disable the Instagram account she relied on to raise funds. On her new Instagram account, she is restricted to messaging 10 people each day, yet still makes the journey for internet success. We must honor her work and reduce it by giving generously and consistently because restrictions on her social media and from the rain means she has nothing raising enough to raise even her family's most essential needs. The extortionate food prices mean their family only have access to minimal ingredients and are constantly innovating to survive. However, the lack of nourishment is causing medical emergencies for Doa and Mahmoud's children, who need money urgently for treatment, particularly bone and dental problems, urgent as the everyday burdens of the continued catastrophe are worsened by the occupation, who target and bombard hospitals, meaning Doa's family cannot access medical care and must buy medication. Despite the illusion of a ceasefire, the Zionists continue to refuse aid entry, and Doa has been recently hospitalized with the effects of starvation. Only of the 90% people in Gaza suffering the impact of intensifying starvations while collaborators keeping food costs incredibly high. Doa was a baker before the accelerated genocide and used her baking skills to provide nourishing and beautiful meals and moments of respite for her children with the minimal ingredients she can find. 25% is reduced every time cash arrives at the oppressive cashiers in Gaza, meaning that for any cost, Doa still needs to raise 25% more than extortionate prices on the markets. Mahmoud suffers from ear infections, and Doa requires corneal surgery as her vision continues to weaken, causing intense headaches. Their daughter Mora suffers the same eye condition and urgently needs glasses they cannot afford. As all funds raised have been gone to daily survival and affording food and medicine to ease symptoms, the absence of these surgeries and glasses illustrate that, despite any illusion of donation totals, all funds DOA has worked tirelessly to raise have not stretched beyond immediate survival. Misk decorates the tent with her drawings, creating lively characters that sit among the floor furnishings the family exhausted themselves, transporting from they were forcibly displaced from the north. Together, they try to make the tent as beautiful as possible. The colorful and beautiful winter clothes Doa bought her children dry in the sun when it is out. Making the place feel more vibrant, Doa always dresses her children with great care, so each they may feel good in themselves, despite all they have lost and the destruction they can see in their surroundings. However, all water for washing these clothes and for drinking costs an extortionate amount for the family. In the midst of grieving the martyring of neighbors and loved ones, and with the fear this brings for their own lives, at the signs which signal the ascension of martyrs, a true heart-wrenching sign of the way Doa teaches her children to experience joy despite the brutality they and the Palestinian people endure, rooted in love for each other and for the land. All funds go to getting Doa and Mahomet's family the essential food and medicine for daily survival. For themselves, Misk, Mona, Mohammed, and Abdullah. Aya, a 23-year-old from Gaza City, the eldest of her three parents, and this is her family. She has five brothers and three sisters. English language education was fortunate enough to get first place in her university, and was appointed as a lecturer at this university. But unfortunately, the university was destroyed by the occupation and she lost her job. Also, she used to work as a private teacher, but the center was destroyed and her dreams were shattered. Gaza has become a ghost city with no universities, no hospitals, mosques, or schools. Aya and her family have been through unimaginable hardships. The war in Gaza has devastated their lives, leaving them with nothing. Their home was destroyed. Also, she has a brother named Mahmoud, who was injured in his eye in this war and needs to travel abroad. We aim to raise $55,000 to help Aya and her 10 brothers and sisters escape the turmoil in Gaza and start afresh in Cairo, Egypt. This amount will cover travel costs, the expenses of transporting the family from Gaza to Egypt, initial accommodation, renting a family in Cairo to provide a safe and stable environment for her family, living expenses, supporting the family with basic needs such as food, clothing, utilities until Aya's father can find employment in Cairo, education, ensuring that Aya and her siblings can enroll in universities and schools outside Gaza, giving them a chance to continue their education and build a better future. Why your support matters? Your contribution can make a world of difference for Aya and her family. It's not just about providing immediate relief, but also about giving them a chance to rebuild their lives and secure a future full of hope and opportunity. Every donation, no matter how small, brings them with one step closer to safety, stability, and the chance to pursue their dreams. Donate. Any amount you can give would be deeply appreciated and to put immediate use. Share. Spread the word about this campaign on social media with your friends and within your community. Thank you for taking the time to read Aya's story. Together, we can help Aya and her family rise from the ashes of war and build a brighter future. Warm regards. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts to everyone who donates, even a small amount, or shares the donation link. Your support truly means life to us. We are a family from Gaza consisting of 6 members: a father, a mother, and 4 children. Bilal, Sami, Malik, and William. Although the war has stopped, our suffering has not. It has only grown worse. Over the last 2 years, we have lost everything that we possess, and the cost of living has risen up beyond what we can possibly afford. Malik suffers from excessive electrical activity in the brain as a result of extreme fear and trauma. She requires expensive monthly treatment, and her condition is worsening day by day. Sammy, a child who lost his dreams in the war, suffers severe burns across his body. The scars still frighten him to this day, and he still needs surgery to remove shrapnel from his body. Despite his pain, he tries to attend school, but it is a private school that requires monthly fees. Bial was forced to leave his studies in search of work, but due to harsh conditions, he has been unable to find any employment. William is a university student who dreams of graduating, but her education has been postponed because of high tuition fees and the lack of electronic devices needed for online learning. This donation campaign was created to help our family meet our basic needs, such as food and medication, especially for our father, Sammy and Malik. We are truly exhausted, and you are our only real hope for survival. Please consider donating if you are able to do so. Every contribution, even €1, makes a difference and helps our story reach more people. We also kindly ask you to share the donation link as much as possible. Thank you deeply to everyone who read this and offered help. Wishing you all a beautiful day, the Malik family. I am Mohammed Al Lawani. I live in Gaza Strip. I had a house, and now I am displaced and live in a tent. The conditions are difficult. Sometimes we cannot find food and we face difficulty in obtaining drinking water. I am now unemployed and do not find an opportunity to work. Please help me to survive in my life for me and my family. I will also add a few more words. Mohammed takes care of his parents and his younger brother, and is always working hard to help members of his family. He dreams of leaving the strip and traveling. He wants to go to school. He is 26 years old and is a talented athlete with huge goals. This fund is created with the intention of supporting him and his family as well as ultimately evacuating from Gaza when the opportunity arises. Thank you from ourselves for continuing on this journey with us. We have lost everything, a home and security, to livelihood sufficient for our children. The war has only stolen our bodies, but our spirit and faith are stronger than all the pain. We desperately need your support to be our hope in these difficult circumstances. Don't underestimate the value of your donation, no matter how small. It could mean the difference between survival and ruin for our family. Share, donate, and pray for us, because every interaction from you is a new ray of hope for us. From Moatas, I am deaf and mute. I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, Maria, Ahmed, and Abud. My wife also has special needs, deaf and mute. We have no breadwinner and no source of income. We're now in a time of war, suffering from scarcity of food and drink. From Yasmin. Contribute to helping children and families in Gaza escape from it. The war in Gaza was not new to me and my family, but the intensity of the conflict quickly escalated, turning our once peaceful neighborhood into a battlefield. The air was thick with fear, and the nights were lit not by stars, and by relentless artillery barrages. In the midst of this chaos, my family found themselves trapped, our dreams of safety shattered by the harsh reality of war. As the conflict intensified, an opportunity to escape emerged, but it was as fleeting as it was costly. The border between Egypt and Rafah, the gateway to safety, demanded a price too high for many to pay. For me and his family, This amount was unattainable as the stars in the sky. However, the border was our only hope, a thin line between life and death. Gaza border crisis. In the heart of Gaza, amid the echoes of war that most people heard, my husband and I, whose world was shrouded in silence. We were born deaf and mute, and we live life differently from those around him. But our disability never dampened our vibrant spirit or the love we had for our family. They were our anchor in the sea of silence, communicating it through the universal language of love and understanding. I hope you will help our family to go safety and security. I hope you will help us get out of this fear and difficulties and bring goodness and go with my family to peace. I hope you will help, even if it's a little money, as this is too much for us. Thank you. There are days when we have absolutely nothing to eat. Prices have skyrocketed, and the rare humanitarian aid that does arrive is often looted and sold at prices we cannot afford. On top of our hunger and poverty, we live under the constant threat of airstrikes that keep us awake at night and deepen our suffering. On top of hunger, we live in constant fear of airstrikes that keep us awake at night. We dream not of luxury, but simply of safety, food, and a roof over our heads. Every dollar, every share, and every kind word makes a real difference. It's not just charity, it's an act of humanity. If you're reading this, I ask from my heart, please help me save my family. No contribution is too small. Even $5 can buy a meal or a bottle of clean water. If you can't donate, you can still be part of this by sharing our story on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, and helping us reach more compassionate hearts. In times like these, hope comes from people who care. Together, we can give Kali's family a chance to breathe again, to rest without fear, and to believe that the world has not forgotten them. Thank you for reading, for caring, and for being the light in their darkest time. Casey and his family of 8 had been displaced by the genocide in Gaza. They have no home, and most of their belongings have been destroyed. They have no clean water, no food, no shelter, no warmth. Please keep Hussein family in mind this holiday season and help in any way you can. Thank you. I am Miriam, a mother from Gaza, from a land exhausted by the war that swallowed our dreams. My life was simple, but full of love and hope. All I aspired was to secure a bright future for my 4 children, who were the joy of my life and the light of my days. Mahmoud, 10 years old, excelled in studies and dreamed of becoming a doctor who saved lives. Hanan, 9 years old, drew pictures that brought life to the walls and dreamed of becoming an artist. Mohammed, 5 years old, was preparing to enter kindergarten filled with curiosity and joy. As for Hala, my little girl, she was born amidst the sounds of bombs and aircraft, and she knew nothing of life but fear and shelling. Then the war began and took everything from us. We were bombed several times, and by the grace of God, we survived. Our home was no longer a shelter, but rooms that could neither protect us from the cold of winter nor the heat of summer. Part of it was destroyed, and the rest was barely livable. My children shivered from the cold, cried from hunger, and asked me every day, when will we return? Why there is no food? Will we ever go back to school? They used to dream of becoming doctors and artists, but now their dreams are limited to a loaf of bread to satisfy their hunger or a cup of clean water to quench their thirst. I see the fear in their eyes, and I feel helpless in my heart. I have nothing to protect them with, nothing to offer them except a hug that trembles with them. The war is over, but our suffering has only just begun. The cats have fallen silent, but the screams of my children have not. Our home, which was refuge, has become a memory, its wall cracked, its windows shattered, and its roof unable to protect us from the rain or the cold. Being a mother in Gaza means carrying mountains of worries, facing nights without warmth, days without food, and fighting the rodents and insects they have invaded the place. I don't ask for much, just a safe shelter to protect us from death and the cold of winter, food to satisfy my children's hunger, medicine to ease their pain, and a moment of security to restore their laughter. Al Mustafa Nasrallah, a fifth-year medical student at Al Azhar University, completely dedicated my time to volunteering and helping patients at Al Ali Arab Hospital in northern Gaza in orthopedic department. My family consists of 9 members living in Gaza. Becoming the recent war, we live a simple life filled with hope, but the war turned our lives upside down. Our home was destroyed in the bombing. My father, Hamdi, was seriously injured months ago and become unable to work. And my brother, Mohammed, was also injured just like a week ago and suffered a fear of leg fracture. He underwent an emergency surgery. After my father was injured and our home was destroyed, we lost our source of income. We urgently need assistance to provide food, clean water, and basic necessities for our family. We only eat one meal a day because we have no money, as prices are extremely high. My little sister Malik is suffering from painful skin rashes due to the lack of clean water. No child have to endure this. I'm facing great difficulty, continuing my studies due to the war and constant power outages, which are affecting me negatively. I'm forced to study using a weak battery or a flashlight, which is exhausting and not ideal. I need a solar panel to help me study. It costs $3,000. And I also constantly need to buy medical books, stationery, and medical books for my training and work. Due to the war, Al Shifa Hospital, our main training hospital, was destroyed. And our university, Al Azhar's University, was also damaged. As a result, we had to continue our studies remotely. We are helpless alone, but every contribution from you is a bridge of hope that may help us survive and give us a chance to continue. From Mustafa. And as you may know too, there are also news going on in other countries from exploitation, slavery, malnutrition, overworking hours, and lots of children and families don't have the time to be regular people. If you remember other countries such as Sudan, Congo, and Ukraine, this is what life is like at their place already. Why African genocides are treated as background noise? When genocide happens in Africa, it is rarely named as such. It is framed as instability, ethnic violence, or state failure. Eastern Congo holds vast reserves of coltan, cobalt, gold, and tin, minerals essential to Western technology, electric vehicles, and military systems. The United States and Europe officially condemn violence, while their companies remain embedded in supply chains that pass through Rwanda, despite clear United Nations evidence that Rwanda does not possess these minerals and that they extracted using militia control in Eastern Congo. This creates convenient contradiction. Violence is deplored, but the economic structures that require that violence remain untouched. Sudan is one of the world's richest countries in gold and natural resources, yet its people are among the poorest. One resource in particular exposes the hypocrisy: gum arabic. Sudan supplies around 70 to 80% of the world's gum arabic, a resin essential for products made by multinational corporations including Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Nestle, and major pharmaceutical and cosmetic companies. Despite genocide, mass displacement, and RSF atrocities, gum Arabic exports have continued to flow. The war disrupts lives, not supply chains. This is how modern imperialism works. No direct colonization is needed. Instead, armed groups control extraction zones. Regional proxies enforce violence. Western markets absorb the resources. Humanitarian language replaces accountability. Congo believes some minerals stay cheap. Sudan burns so trade remains stable. The system does not malfunction and functions as designed. Why the United States and Europe stay quiet? Western governments often present themselves as external observers. In reality, they are structurally implicated. The U.S. relies on Congolese minerals for defense and green technology. European states maintain trade and diplomatic ties that stabilize extraction routes rather than civilian lives. Calling these situations genocide would force action. Calling them conflicts allows business as usual. Congo and Sudan are not invisible because they are complex. They are invisible because they are profitable. And as long as extraction is protected and responsibilities outsourced, genocide will keep being explained instead of being stopped. Thank you very much for your support. Please make a donation to any of the links down below to any of the links. Your support will definitely matter to everyone. Thank you everyone for listening and have a great week. Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are need for dying if you care enough for living. Make a better place for you and for me. You world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are need for dying if you care enough for living. Make a better place for you and for me. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are make a better place for you and for me.
Look at you! You want it all! Hubris! Hubris! Egoism! Me, my land, my children! You are not a democracy! Zionism is not democracy! You are so embarrassed, you are so insecure, and you are so weak because you know billions of us in the world stand for Iran, freedom, and Palestine. God help you. You will never ever be free. Free Palestine! 이스라엘과 약속의 끝없이 팔레스티나와 自分たちのものだという。だがパレスチナはパレスチナ人のものだ。そんなことは当たり前で、イスラエルに一切の権利はない。そうだ。他者の土地を自分のものとするのは犯罪である。ガザとヨルダン川西岸の占領は国際法に違反していると。
When I ignore me, complain, I cry. my brother, my sister, I am asking you to help me so that I can buy treatment. I am injured and I cannot work. I will bring food to my children. Please donate to me. Please donate to me. Thank you.
Thank you, support us. Thank you, support.
We must fight for freedom so that you can stand freely. Free Palestine, free Palestine. We call for justice, let us stand together.
Mungu Debora Feza Anyesi, nateseka sana, niko mkimbizi kutoka Kichanga, nikimbilia Mungambi. Kufika Mungambi nishakosa transport kunirudisha kwa mimi naishi. Kila siku nikuteseka na kutufungulisha, kila siku wanatupiga wanatupaka. Mtusaidie sana tena sana, tuoneshe gisi tamu naze tuokoa mtutoshe huku Goma, turudie ku village yetu. Village yangu ni Kichanga.
Guys, I'm having a really bad hijab day, but let's talk about the thing that I wanted to talk about today. So I'm living in a really noisy area, guys, so please, if you hear any noises, please forgive me for it. So I'm personally really concerned about whatever is happening in Sudan, Somalia, Congo, and all these places. People are really suffering. Like, children are suffering and paying for the war that they've never waged before, and it hurts. You know, it really hurts. I'm going to talk about other countries in my other videos, but today let's start with Congo. Na kwa nini naichagua Congo? Kwa sababu Congo imekuwa ikipitia mateso kwa miaka 30 straight. A lot of people have been dying, women have been assaulted, children are working in extreme risky labor, children being forced to enter militias, child killings are happening. Just to make it easier for you, let me give you examples ya vitu ambavyo vinatokea Congo currently. Over 2 million women are getting sexually assaulted, and it's not only women in this group, even girls are getting assaulted. Okay. Over 1.6 million children are not going to school. Over the 30 years of war, almost 15 million plus deaths have been taking place. Like, if you don't know how 15 million looks like, bro, try to look into it. Na hali ya haki za watoto Congo is worse than we can all think about. Children in Congo are suffering mentally, physically, emotionally, and in every way you can think about. Imagine mtoto anamwona mamake is getting sexually assaulted in front of their own eyes by more than one man. Like, that's so evil. It's so bad, and it's so painful to even hear or even watch. So what I will really urge my government right now is to speak up about Congo, and everyone watching this right now, please don't forget about Congo. Pray for Congo, speak up for Congo, raise awareness for Congo, because Congo needs me and you. It's really suffering and they need our voices. And not only Congo, Sudan, Somalia, Palestine, Haiti, Lebanon, Myanmar, Yemen, and all these places in the world that people are suffering. Please speak up for them and pray for them. Don't forget about them. They need us so much. Stay safe. Love you all.
Stop, please don't go, please listen to me. Ya Rabbi, ignore anyone who skips this video without using my audio. Ya Rabbi, ignore anyone who scrolls this video without help us and sharing it. When we are beginning exterminated, they leave North and Gaza. When you skip me, you will kill me. I don't forgive anyone who skips this video without help us and sharing it, because we are dying here, we are suffering here every minute. Can you save us? Please save us. We are suffering from hunger, danger, and bombing. There is no safe place here. Can you imagine? Imagine we live the life you cannot see. Can you imagine your children crying from hunger and displacement every day, and you being unable to do anything for them? We are dying here every day. Do you know what it means? Your children and your family sleeping angry and afraid. What do you do? What do you do? Where are the people of humanity? Where are the people of humanity? Please help me. Please help my family. Please help my children. Can you help us?